Hello students, this is the video on how to clean up paint and stay safe. Just wanted to give you guys a little tour. You guys have seen the paint station where everything is stored. Make sure there's no scissors or any like knives or anything in this area because it's by water, so we want to make sure that we keep all of that away from everything. Most of the paint can come out with hot and soapy water if you get it on your clothes. I know we had that conundrum last year, but just in case you don't, right here on the wall I have some smocks. Okay, these attach easily, so if you're gonna paint, it's probably a good idea to put one of these babies on, or you could bring an old shirt or whatever you want if you know you're gonna paint, if you don't want to wear these. But yeah, hot soap and water will take most of this paint out. Okay, so just to give you a little tour, all right? So everything is pretty much labeled in here. If it's not now, it will be by the end of the quarter because I'll be having students coming in and helping me on my free time. We've got our acrylic paint and everything stored here, and watercolor, sponges, paint mediums, and gesso. So if you're gonna get some paint out, you're gonna take it from here, all right? Everything is going to be pre-pumped, okay? But let's say that you open one of these up. I need to finish filling these up. And something is not in there. Obviously, we need to fill these up. What you can do is you can go into the cabinet and you can take out the pump that needs to be filled up. And I'll go ahead and set this here so you can see it. Make sure you're doing this over the sink, so that any pump the paint out. There we go. And these can go to about a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup full. Most of the time they will be filled up. I'm going to do my best to keep them full for you so you won't have to refill them. And when I notice that they're going low, I'll probably fill them up at the end of the day. But in case you run out, you are allowed to do this. But just be aware that what I would like you to do is when you're done with it, I would like you to take a paper clip. We did toothpicks last year, and I've decided that I like paper clips better because they are metal and they can't really break as well. So this paper clip should keep most of this in there. It should keep it from clogging up is the ideal situation. So, and then put it back. Okay, so once you have your paint, if we're doing acrylic, you can go ahead and take it over to your station. All right, we've got our paint. Okay, well, what else are we gonna need if we're gonna get paint? All right, well, you decide if you wanna take a sponge or if you need a water dish. It's at the back here. You saw this when we got our tour. If you're going to be mixing paint, you're gonna need a palette, all right? Now, the deal with mixing is that you use a little bit of paint here and there to mix, okay? If you end up having a ton of extra paint and you know you're gonna need it next time, you can get a palette and cover these. And they should be able to be covered. So what you're going to want to do is put your name on this. So ask me for some tape or something to put your name on it if you're going to need to cover it. But you should only use stuff that you know you're pretty much going to use all of class in this, so that way it's easily you can easily work it. And then of course you're going to need your brushes. So if you're experimenting with paint, I would try a few different types of brushes so you can kind of get the idea. I took a palette knife as well. There's different bristle sizes and things that you can do. All right, so I'm going to take all of this over here. Okay. I'm going to fill this with a little bit of water just in case. And you probably should take a paper towel with you because your brushes are going to get wet and they're going to need to sit on things if you need to clean them out. All right, So you'll need all of these things when you're going ahead to do this, all right? And you set up your station, and you can watch the paint one to know how to do it, but let's say that you are just practicing here, all right? And you take all your things out, and you're trying a couple different things. Okay, you've got yellow. I've got my practice piece of paper here for practice, or you might be doing this on your sketchbook. So when you are done with everything that you're doing, hopefully, by the way, you're not leaving these brushes sitting out here with paint on them. All right, the minute you think that you might be done with them, you don't want them to sit more than about a minute. Okay, so if you overloaded the paint, then I would definitely dip it and get it wet. When you are doing this is proper brush care. When you are rinsing it, I would dab it as much as possible. Don't push it down flat, because what that's going to do is it's going to jostle the bristles, and slowly it will change the structure of the bristles, and it will start floating apart, and then we won't have a quality brush to use anymore. Same with this one. I'm dabbing it here, okay, to get most of it out. And then when you are waiting in between, you can leave it here, and as long as it's damp, it's fine. And also don't leave it sitting in the water, because if you leave it sitting in the water, what happens is, this is called the ferrule, the water will get inside the ferrule, and it will start to loosen the glue inside of there and get down to the stem, and then eventually this can start jostling and it can come off, and we don't want that. See, this is already loose, so it may have already been set in water, and it shouldn't be. So we want to keep our brushes nice and clean. Okay, once you're done, you're going to take all your brushes back to your station, back to the sink. All right. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna get a little bit of Dawn soap, and you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna put a little tiny drop in your hand. All right, and get some water going. We have nice hot flowing water right now, so get it to a temperature that you can stand, and get your brushes wet. Just use these two, and go ahead and you can use this, and you can flatten the brushes in your hand a little bit too, because we want to get all of it out. Okay, so just go ahead and rub it in the palm of your hand with the soap. All right, you want to make sure you get a really good scrub in there, because we don't want to leave any paint in there. Now these white ones will tend to stain a little bit. That's normal. So just make sure you've done your best with the soap. I doubt you'll get it back to white. I don't think I've ever been able to do that, but as you can see, the water is running clear. There's not a lot of blue left in my hand, so we just want to make sure that we got it done. Same thing here with our palette knife. Now, you might get something stuck to the palette knife. As you can see, that happened before. There is steel wool that you can take out from underneath if you want to try to get that paint off if it's stuck and it's dry. Steel wool works wonders, as you can see. Also, if you have paint on your station that dried and you can't get it off with soap and water, you can always use steel wool, and that will help. underneath, will be underneath the sink for you. Okay. Go ahead and once we're done. Now you want to make sure that you're flattening this back out so it's in good form, because what can happen is if you don't do that, it can deform. And always make sure you remember, brushes up in the cup. Always want to make sure we do that, because otherwise this will deform if it sits in there and it's wet. Okay. You don't have to put it back into the drawer. You can set it right here because it does need to dry, and that's totally fine. I'd rather have it be drying in here, and then we can put it away later. And then of course your paints go back up here. If you've mixed anything, you're going to want to rinse it right away. And again, the steel wool can probably get out some of the things here, but the hot water will help a lot. Okay, and once you're done, you can just set it in here and let it dry. Okay, you don't have to get a paper towel to wipe everything down all the time, although I will have a towel here, so if it's clean, you should be able to pat it down with this. Okay. Same thing with my water dish. This is why we only have a few people doing paint at once. It makes it much easier. Put the water dish in there. Put this up, put it away. Awesome. All right. So then we also have to clean up our station. All right. So the best way to clean up the station, especially if the paint is wet, if you're not going to use it, fold it in half. All right. Fold it in half and throw it away in the trash. All right. If you're going to save it, remember you can put it in the drying rack right over here. Okay, and make sure you put your name on it so I remember. Put it on the bottom shelf first if you're gonna save it, and have your name on it, and we're gonna work up. So if there's other things on the bottom, you'll put it on the next one up. If for some reason class gets too crowded, I'll take it off. I might have moved it to another location, so if it's not there, just ask me. I probably moved it. Okay, and let's say you got some paint on the table, all right? So again, you can just get some soapy water when it's cleanup time, and all you gotta do is spray it. All right, hopefully you'll have some leftover paper towel that you can clean it with. All right, if it's not coming off, like I have some blue that just went on there, if it's not coming off with enough soapy water, let's make sure that you can use some Clorox cleanup, but I'd prefer that if you do that you wear gloves. We really should be doing that and wearing gloves if we're going to use bleach. So you can if for some reason, or you can try the steel wool if it's dry. I don't want you to use the steel wool though if it's wet. If it's wet, it should come up, but if it's dry and it doesn't come off with soapy water, you can use a steel wool. That might help too. So I believe that's it. And then at the end of class, I should be able to put the things back that aren't wet. And I think if I was going to tell you anything else. The sink. Oh yes, the sink. Make sure that our sink does not have any paint on it. All right, you can scrub this with steel wool if you need to. Also, if you need to soak it, this does lay in here, and it'll plug up so you can get water in here to soak if you need to. But then when you're done, drain it. So if you need to soak something, it'll go in there and you can just put it in there, soak. So as soon as you're done with your paintbrush, don't wait till the end of class to clean it up. Try to clean it up right away if you know you're going to be done with it. I believe that is the tutorial for art, or for paint. So thanks for listening, guys.